Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Friday Night Four Lads show. My name is Stevie Clifford, fresh back from holidays. Delighted to say I didn't jinx it too much last night, but I'm joined by two of my very favourite people, Andrew Anderson, Kenny Stewart. Lads, welcome. Spurs last night was a proper Rangers performance. Those that seen the matchday vlog would have seen how much Shona and I enjoyed it. Kenny, give us a wee summation of your thoughts on the match, and then Andrew, jump in as well, and we'll kind of see what your boys' thoughts were from last night.
I thought we started and finished really, really well, Stevie. We just had an air of confidence about us that kind of surprised me, actually. I thought we'd be a wee bit apprehensive going into the game because of the pace and stuff like that the Spurs have got, but there was none of that. Epitomised by Nico Raskin and Mo Diamandi, who I thought were both sensational. Particularly Nico Raskin, I thought he was just head and shoulders above anybody on the pitch. Strange to say that I would have taken a point, would have bitten your hand off for a point before the game, and come away actually thinking, we really probably should have won that on the over the 90 minutes. I thought Rangers were the better side. I think Spurs had that period when they brought all their, when I say their big guns, they brought proper quality on the pitch in that second half, Stevie, and they were Kulusevski made a difference. He's a top player. I was really impressed with him, though he didn't do massive amounts. It's the space he makes and stuff like that kind of really impressed me. But this was all about Rangers for me. I thought we were as good as I've seen us under Clement, bar no game actually. Thought we were absolutely excellent, and the press was tremendous. I thought the way we played through their press was tremendous, and we created all night long, and was just a little bit disappointed, crazily, to not win that game, Stevie. But I thought we were superb on the night, and more of that, please. That was superb.
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously it was a great birthday present for me, so thanks, lads, appreciate that. But it was, I'm like Kenny says, I'm struggling to think of a better performance that we've had under Clement than this game, because it's not only the way that we perform, but also it's the level of the opponent as well. We know that Spurs could bring on a £200 million player if they want to. They can buy and sell the entire Scottish Premier League if they felt like it. So for us to be able to stand up, not only compete, but look like the better team for large spells of that game, just phenomenally impressive to me. Nico Raskin, game by game, just looks better and better. Everyone around him is doing well as well. The fact that we started a lineup with two left backs in it, and it looked like a phenomenal decision, and was borne out by how well they both combined on the left hand side, was great to see. So yeah, excellent. If we could do the same again on Sunday, except win it, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I've got to admit that Kenny made an interesting point there with regard to the press. It's almost like something happened after the Dundee United game, because that was only 3 weeks ago, and that was some dire football. There's no way of sugarcoating that. It was horrendous. We all said it was chronic, turgid stuff, and I think a lot of us kind of went, right, enough's enough. And it's funny because it almost seems like the players and the management have went, right, enough's enough, because I watched them last night and I thought we had a shape, we had a formation, we had players knowing where they should be, we had players knowing when to press, the trigger was good, Kenny spotted that. They had, every time when Mo Diamandi went to press, it was on that specific player at the back. I want to say maybe Ndoggy, but I'm not entirely sure. I haven't watched it back yet. But as soon as Spurs got Diamandi pressed, and then everybody pressed as one, and we just looked like, I was sitting there going, Christ, we look like we're organised. It's almost like we've got to December and went, we better get our finger out here. But defensively, guys, I thought we were very good. Not want to talk about individuals too much, but the whole shape and things, I thought we were good. We played ourselves into trouble a couple of times. Raskin, Jeffy were loose at times. And I don't feel like at any point, aside of the goal, which was a great goal by Tottenham, we'll talk about that, but I don't feel like Tottenham ripped us apart at all at any point during that game, individually or collectively. I thought that we managed Tottenham very well.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at how we set up during that game, the shape is quite similar to what we've been doing before. It just seems that the players just are much more organised. They know what they're meant to be doing. Yefty, I think, in particular, can struggle sometimes. I think that's just because he's younger. He's still learning the game. He's still getting used to, how aggressively teams will press. And he has played himself into trouble a few times. But similar to what we used to say about James Tavernier, the benefit that you get from him going forward completely counteracts any negatives you might have about him potentially being a little bit defensively frail, which I don't think he is. I think he's still quite strong as a left back.
I think he's pouring the ball, Andrew. I don't think he's defensively weak. He doesn't seem to get skinned or taken on a lot. I think his decision making on the ball, he can be loose, and he done it a couple of times, and he got back and corrected his own error, and he was hands up to the crowd. But with you saying that, my only point on it would be I don't think he's defensively weak. I think decision making and executing passes and things, I think, is his weakness.
Yeah, and I don't know if some of that's just inexperience or what, but you would hope that it would be the kind of thing that you can teach a player. He's still young, he's still got all the potential. So yeah, and I mean, just defensively in general, like you, I don't think that we were exposed at any point. There was no point where it was like goals just going to start raining in, which was the fear pre-game, right? We know that Spurs can be aggressive. We know that how they're going to play as well, given the manager, and we know that they are going to just try and blow us away in terms of scoring goals. The fact that we looked largely in control for most of that game and never really looked particularly threatened was a credit not only to the defence, but I think to the midfield as well, because they cut off a lot of stuff before it started developing into proper attacks.
The word I'd use for Yefty in general, but particularly last night, is excitable. He's just got this eagerness to do everything immediately, and he needs to just calm down a little bit. You've seen Leon Balogun having a go at him a couple of times. He just calm down. Jack Butland did it with a headed pass back that was almost horrific. But look, the thing I'd say defensively about us last night was, and a special mention for our captain Tavernier. He had a good game defensively last night. He did play quite well.
We'll come to Tav, but keep going because that's a conversation point. When's it not ever on this podcast? But
but Suter was great when he until he had to go off. Proper probably had his best game for us. I thought he was very decent. And coming right out, I don't know if you noticed that a couple of times as well, Stevie. He was coming right out and into their half to press, really get right on top of somebody. And we didn't lose shape with doing that. So that was good to see. And that's probably last night in regard to the quality of opposition we're playing. That was as organised as I've seen our back four in quite a while. I would think that in the sense that, yeah, you're going to make mistakes because their press was really high as well. And there is times when you're going to, Tav did that at one point where he did really well actually, but he played it to Nico Raskin at the edge of the box, and we nearly, and you mentioned it on the vlog last night, but there was no need for playing it in there. But it shows you the confidence they had last night, Stevie. That's when you were talking about it. It shows you the confidence they had, that they were quite prepared to play that right into that danger zone and play 1-2s and get back at, to get back out. So that's what really impressed me last night was, yes, Spurs are sitting mid-table at the minute, but and I know, and Andrew knows, they'll finish top 6, top 7 in that league this year. They will, because they're a right good outfit. So you are playing top quality, and to go man for man like that and go toe to toe like that, even defensively, as I'm talking about here, shows a confidence that it surprised me. I didn't expect it last night. And if we take that confidence into the game on Sunday, I'll be very impressed, Stevie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to we've talked about the midfield slightly, and Nico Raskin deserves a whole lot of credit because it's funny because we all said he was a player. And I remember somebody highlighted a post by me back in August in 2023, and I was, I don't know, waxing lyrical, I suppose, about Raskin in terms of the performance level and what he can do, but he fell off. And let's not deny that he got injured and he fell off. He got a horrendous injury, but he's come back. It's taken him a few games, and then all of a sudden he's hit a level where you're just like, right. Now, I think he's a wee bit like Jeffy in terms of what Kenny says. He is excitable as well. And Balogun had the nip at him in the second half too and said, you calm down. And he was pointing back at him. And I like that. I like the wee growl with each other. And I like that kind of determination. So the boys in midfield were terrific. Raskin, by far, man of the match. But I will tell you, lads, see who pushed him? I thought Czerny was terrific last night. Ball carrying, ability to take players on. And he got more confident. The more it went on, he was like, I actually can take them. Now, we know he's not right-footed, but he had a couple of efforts which Forster saved, and unfortunately he did have a decent game. But I thought Czerny was really good. Decision-making frustrated me at times. There was one where he was running through, slipped Eagleman in, but he tried to reverse it into Redvan. And I was like, but I thought Redvan played well on the left. Tremendous little ball carrier. The amount of times I was like that to myself, go on, little man, even though he's taller than me. Go on, little man, and I just thought he was great. And Eagleman, let's go through his stats a wee bit, and then we'll kind of talk a wee bit about, 4 appearances, 2 starts, 4 goals, 1 assist. Expected goals are 0.93. 188 minutes played, 38 minutes per goal contribution, 67% conversion rate, 2.39 chances created per 90, 2.39 successful dribbles per 90. That boy's ability to nutmeg people in the weirdest situations is incredibly funny. 7.66 duels won per 90, and also 8.18 rating as per Football Mob. So, honestly, just some of his stats today, Kenny. It was yourself that posted that and brought it up. This wee lad, a couple of things. I still think he reminds me of a raw Alfredo Morelos. He's got, and that's the emotional side of me wanting to replace Alfie, because we all loved him. And we all loved that version of Alfie when he came in and he was doing these things up at Ross County and he was that cheeky way and everything else. We all loved that. But this guy's come in and he's got signs of that arrogance and he's got signs of the rawness. But lads, we told we had found a gem, 5 goals in 5 games. I don't want to big him up too much because he's going to have situations in games where he doesn't affect and things like that. But there's no doubt this boy's got talent. And as a front 3 last night, I thought they did extremely well. And I'll chuck Redvan into it because his ability to ball carry, and he doesn't have the attacking prowess of others, but his ball carrying was really important to us. Andrew, I'll come to you first because Kenny's having a wee sip, and then Kenny, you fire in as well. But Czerny, terrific. Redvan, great. Hamza, yeah, anyone that knee slides for me is all right by me.
It's like that meme about that damn smile, except it's that damn knee slide, It's just those little things that just make you fall in love all over again. Look, I mean, we have looked so much more impressive. Just compare us to like this time last month, where I think all 3 of us had said on pods we'd be quite happy to see the manager go and to see half this squad ripped up and chucked out. And it is that difference that we've seen, as you say, Stevie, the reaction after the Dundee United game to go, no more of this. Now let's get serious now. It's been really good to see, and I don't want to put it down just to personnel because players who we've previously written off as being useless have contributed. Igamando has been different gravy. He's been really good. The goal game, I mean, that's just a great record just by itself. But his contributions in terms of holding up the ball and carrying and making things happen and taking defenders with him and just helping to open up space, which we have sorely needed in the past, really, really good to see. I didn't actually think Czerny had his best game, but he's coming off of a game prior to this one where I think it's fair to say he was one of the ones who underperformed. And so coming into this, and as you say, Stevie, getting that additional confidence and growing in confidence and playing better and better as the game went on was really good to see. And I think that was something just impressed me overall about this team, that we went through this entire game and at moments where you thought we would look disheartened, conceding the goal, we reacted to that in the best possible way by going, no, we're not settling for a draw here. We are going to try and win this game. We're at Ibrox. And as you say, at the start of this, Stevie, it's a Rangers performance. And it's something we've been crying out for all season. To see it at this particular bit of the season is really good to see, because, we talked about this week and this pair of games, if you like, for a while. We had this one circled in the diary pretty much since the Europa League draw was done, and once the cup final lists were confirmed as well. So we knew that this was going to be a big week. As far as I'm concerned, that first test has been passed very well. I have nothing to say now, Kenny.
Well, look, you're saying Shelley didn't have his best game. I'll tell you something for nothing. I thought I thought that Spurs left-hand side must have been absolutely delighted when they seen his number go up and getting subbed, because they were having a torrid time with him. They did not know where to go with him. They didn't know what to do with him at all. They couldn't get close to him because he was just flicking it past him as if he wasn't there. A wee sidestep or a shimmy, a drop of the shoulder. He did not know what he was going to do at all. As for Raskin, totally agree with you. I thought he was miles and miles head and shoulders above everybody on that pitch last night. As I say, I mentioned Diamande at the start. I thought he was quietly brilliant last night, actually. I thought he was really good. And Ickerman is bringing the Gallus back to the Glasgow Rangers, isn't he? That boy's got a bit about him that I'll say this, and I'm a massive fan of Alfie. I think there's more talent in Ickerman already. Looking at him, in the first few months that he's been here, he looks as if he's a better player than Alfie Morelos, and I'll say that, in comparison to the time spent at that time, that first 4 or 5 months, he looks a far better prospect than Morelos did. And as I say, I'm a massive fan of Alfie, so don't think I'm taking anything away from him, or I'm comparing exactly like for like here. Alfie managed to score plenty of goals for us, and the young boy still got it all to do. But I am really excited about the potential in him. That's how would you put it? When Philip Clement had said that, we had to buy him this year because if we wait a year, we're not going to get him. Well, I genuinely can see why he's been saying that over the last few weeks. All of a sudden, that boy looks, and it's not just the strength or the physical ability or there's goal scoring. It's all of it combined. He just looks like an old-fashioned number 9. It's quite a joy to see. But over the piece, I don't think we had any failures last night at all, guys. I thought Bayrami had quite a quiet game, and out with that, and I didn't think he was bad. I just thought he had quite a quiet game. Out with that, I thought we had solid 7, 8s, and 9s out of 10s all the way through all over the pitch, and was really impressed with our front 3 or 4, if you want to call it the 4, purely on the way that they did press and the way that we created chances all night. Thought it was great.
I will say on Tottenham, said we were going to say, aside of the goal, which I think they went from their right goalkeeper to centre half to right back and broke all the way forward, they kind of turned our press and caught us and worked it over Kulusevski. I've seen some people say, could Butland have saved it? Butland was going across and it went against his balance as well. I don't think that's fair. I thought it would have been a penalty at the time as well. I think Tav fouled Solanke as well, and I think the referee had kind of acknowledged that a wee bit. But give credit, I thought it was a great goal. I didn't feel like Tottenham swamped us. And I spoke to a couple of the English kind of reporters afterwards, really nice guys. Michael Bridges of Sky Sports, who is a big Rangers fan as well. We were chatting for a wee bit, and he was very scathing, I think, of Tottenham. And a lot of them were saying that Son and things like that is not playing well. But, when he comes up here, he's a mega star to us. And I thought that we handled him very well, which brings us on nicely to the Old Firm Cup final on Sunday and what we're going to do. And I'm also going to curve in a wee bit of last night, because our captain last night was terrific. And he's come in for so much criticism of us, and I think it's been right. I think that he has had an incredible dip in the last year or so, and I think that's fair. And the last 6 months, I think it's been really bad. And all of a sudden, he's starting to hit the back post again. St Johnstone forces that goal in. It was a lovely finish by Jason Hope. Kilmarnock assists, scores. Ross County scores. He's affecting play again, Kenny. He's getting up there. He's doing things. Last night, he was terrific. He was getting doubled up and he handled it quite well. He wasn't getting taken. He wasn't, Werner didn't have his best game, but Tav was really on it. And yeah, that one moment he defended really well and then kind of gave Raskin a hospital pass. He was kind of overplayed it a wee bit, but his block from Dominic Solanke when that was coming on a volley with just a couple of minutes was terrific. And here lies the conundrum, gentlemen, because James Tavernier shouldn't play on Sunday because Maeda will tear him apart. He's had him in his pocket. History tells us he can't handle him. Every single person watching this will be saying, we can't play Tav. But Tav in the last 3 or 4 games has looked like James Tavernier that we know and love. So what do? And then last night, all of a sudden, John Souttar goes down injured, comes off holding his groin, top of his thigh, whatever it is. We don't know what's happening with him. And there might be a solution because you don't want Robin Proper. Sorry if that's harsh. I think he handles European football. I don't think he's made the transition to Scotland yet. What about Dujon Sterling? Centre-half, right side. He can cover for Tav. Tav can still do Tav things. All of a sudden, you're starting to think maybe, and I can hear people shouting at me already saying Tav shouldn't start, and I'm saying I agree with them, and I agree with that. But it's completely wrong, Kenny, Andrew, to say that Tav in the last 3-4 games hasn't looked like Tav of old. He was terrific last night. That block in Solanke was world class. The ball into Eagleman was terrific. That's James Tavernier. But what the hell do you do when you know that he can't handle Maeda, you know that he shouldn't play, but you know that he's been so influential in the last 3-4 games? Answer me that.
There was a little thing that happened where I was a little bit concerned first 10 minutes or so, where right in the first minute, actually, somebody, I don't know what one of the players it was a switch of play straight down to Tav's side, and it was seriously exposed. There was masses of space for the boy to run into. And it happened 3 or 4 times in the first 10 minutes. And a few minutes after that, he got stuck one-on-one with Timo Werner, and he just took it off him. And instantly just, bang, I'll have that. Just waited and waited, timed the tackle to perfection, and away he went, and we motored on up the park and got a strike. And that was the end of Werner for a start. He just didn't kick a ball from there. But Tav just seemed to take massive confidence from it, I think. And they did try, Spurs did try and go down our right-hand side, and they got very little out of it, I thought, over the piece. And that's credit to Tav. But for Sunday, I wouldn't want to be Philip Clement. I don't know what I would do with that, because it's a very tough one to drop your captain, Stevie, particularly when he's playing well. But for the reasons you've just said, I think the majority of Rangers fans know full well that we'll have the fear if he's playing on Sunday. When we see the team sheet and he's in it, we will worry about his direct opponent and what he might do to him. And I think that's it's doing Tav a little bit of an injustice in some ways, but not in recent meetings against him. Maeda's just done really well against him, and
history tells us, Kenny, you're right. He shouldn't play, but
yeah. So
what happens? The problem is back to influencing games at the other side and stuff. That's the issue.
Stevie, the problem is we've seen the movie so many times. It's not like this has happened just a couple of games ago. This has happened for like 3 years in a row now. We've seen this movie. We know how it ends. I mean, great. I'm very happy for Tav that he's playing well. Cheers for all your years of service. I really appreciate you. Stay the fuck away from the team on Sunday, because like Sterling's what you need. You set up for the game that is in front of you. You know, we had some enforced changes to that the Europa League game with Hadji and Danilo coming out. But I think you would have seen some of that rotation anyway. We saw Proper come in for that Europa League game. And we talked about it before that game that we would make those changes because Proper suits a European game better. But then for the cup final, thanks, Robin. But Leon's coming in because, you know, we think he's better set up for the game. And that's the point. I think you set up for the game that's in front of you. We've got this, you know, I know it's a luxury, but we actually have the ability to change out players that are still players that play in those positions, which is not something we've had a lot of this season. The wrinkle that we get, Stevie, is with that Suter injury. If it's severe enough that it keeps him out of the game, do you go with Proper and Leon Balogun? Do you feel confident in that combination? Or, as you say, does Sterling come in and fill in at centre half? In which case, given that Big Cass is unavailable, you're kind of stuck and the change is enforced on you. Perfect ideal world, I wouldn't have Tav in the team. The problem is we might be forced into that, and we know, unfortunately, how that movie ends. But I thought we'd get annihilated by Spurs, so I don't know anything.
Well, you weren't the only one, because a lot of top professionals and pundits in that room, I won't name them, but a few of them, when asked, used the word pumped when we were talking about Rangers last night. So interesting.
Afterwards, right?
Yeah, it was a very interesting kind of feeling. I think we've all felt like that, Kenny. But moving ahead of this game, you know, I think we've done the Tab thing to death. He's played really well. I think we're all in agreement that in an ideal world, Kenny, Andrew's probably right. We're right in what we're saying, but it is a conundrum. It definitely is, considering what's went on. But Kenny, in order to win this game on Sunday, the teams that have had joy against Celtic, and we had joy against Celtic at the start of the Old Firm game, but just fell apart, and that's not bigging up a performance, because 10 minutes is nothing. But the way to get after them is to be aggressive, go man for man, press them, push them. But that's asking a hell of a lot to keep that kind of tempo up. You will get opportunities. Celtic are ruthless. They have fantastic players in Kuhn, Kyogo, Adamida. They have, you know, power from midfield, McGregor, Engels. As I know people are moaning a wee bit, but they've spent a lot of money on him. They've got a lot of pace and power. Defensively, they've got two big solid guys at the back now, which seem to be all right. Wing back wise, Taylor and Johnston, you'll never really convince me that we can't get some joy out of them. But I think you have to, unfortunately, respect their strength. But they're not unbeatable. And it's how do we do it? How do we get after them, Kenny? That is the biggest question.
Well, as I said, I personally wouldn't want to be Philip Clement for this, because there was a number of players that played themselves into contention last night. I thought the likes of Ridvan and that left-hand side, the two of them played really well. They dovetailed really well. So he's got a choice to make there. He's got a choice to make it centre-half. He's got a choice to make right back, obviously. I think he'll play his captain. I do actually think he will play him. Whether it's the right decision or not, we'll wait and see. Midfield, he's also got choices, because Conor Barron came out last night and I thought Diamandi was excellent. I think Egeman, as long as he's fit, should start for sure. Does he bring Danilo back in for this game? Does he bring Hadji back in for this game? Drop by Rami? He's got loads and loads of options, Stevie. But the simple thing, and we've done it before, and don't get me wrong, we've not done it, you know, we've not done it well enough lately, right? But the simple fact is that there is a way of stopping them, Stevie, and there's a three in behind their midfield, basically, that you need to contend with and deal with, and it's their two fullbacks who invert slightly in, and Callum McGregor, and that three directly in front of their two attacking midfielders is where you really need to be absolutely on it to stop them. Now that, as I say, that personally for me might well mean that, you know, you perhaps don't play Yanis Hadji because of a lack of pace. You know, you really kind of want, but maybe Bayrami as well. It might well be that left-hand side is those two that we seen last night. That's what I would be looking at. Almost not man marking Callum McGregor, but get somebody tight on him for 90 minutes and pushing up enough that you stop those fullbacks. And I think if you can do that, you kind of nullify a lot of what they're really very good at. There's no getting away there from it. They are a good side and they're flying at the minute. I think they've lost once all season. And they're doing well in Europe as well. Got to be fair to them, you know. So it's a tough game for us. We know it's a tough game for us, but nobody's going to tell me that they've got better players than Spurs either, because I don't believe they do. And we've just played against a decent enough Spurs outfit that went to Man City and beat them 4-0. So, you know, there is levels to this game. We're all aware of that, but let's not put them on a pedestal and it's about our attitude, Stevie. This is what I mean. It's about what we do. It's not about what they do. We know what they can do. It's about what we want to do. And for me, that's where you start, is that you defend from the very, very front, Stevie, and you pin if you can pin the fullbacks tight back and deal with Callum McGregor, you've got a great chance of winning this game on Sunday. Easier said than done. It's easy for me to say it. It's the players that have got to go out and do it. But you know what I mean? For me, that is the key to getting the result against them, Stevie.
It's funny, Andrew. I would go for them a wee bit. I would play Eagleman and Danilo because I think Eagleman drifts left, so he could play that left. But anyway, Hadji would come back in for me. I think Hadji's assisted 5 goals. He will create chances. I think the main difference is, and even if you look at that game in Parkhead, we should have been 2-0 up after 10 minutes. If you think about Sirio's misses twice, and then Matondo had a header coming in from the left from Tab's cross. If that's Eagleman coming in from the left, or if it's Danilo, you would hope maybe we're hitting the target. Now, I know we were trounced in that game. I know we were, so it's not trying to big anything up. I'm just saying that we will create chances. We will get opportunities. It's the finest margins. I don't think that you could survive a Jeffy mistake or a Nico Raskin mistake. You've seen it in the cup final. I think it was Scott Wright stood in the ball or something, and then, 10 seconds later they score a goal. Jack Butland fumbles. So I think that we need to go after them aggressively a wee bit. Bruges should have beat them in that Champions League game at Parkhead, and they had them wobbling, especially in the first half. We would need to be on top and take our opportunities. But like Kenny said, we respect them and they have some great players, but they're not unbeatable.
It's the same attitude that we took into the Spurs game, which was we recognise that budgetarily, you guys have got more to play with. Player-wise, you might have players who have got more skill than us, but it's all about that attitude. Because we saw how Spurs reacted to that. Some of that's the crowd, but some of that's down to how we play as well. And it is that aggression. It is that pressing high. We do not play well when we're trying to just contain teams or just trying to sit back. This team works so much better when it's on the front foot, when it's aggressive, and when it's attacking. And that's what we need to do. We need to play to our own strengths. It's a home match. We should be taking advantage. Well, it's not a home match. I mean, sort of. We were there. Like, it was a home for a bit. You know what I mean? The point is that we are in a position where we should be full of confidence. We've just come off of a really good European result, a result that no one expected us particularly to get, including me. We should be going into this with a lot of confidence. We know that we can do this if we set aside the history, what's happened in the past, because some of these players have got fairly negative experiences so far in these games. Not a lot of positives, but for some of them, it's new as well. So what you need to be doing is taking exactly that same attitude that you did into the Spurs game and go, look, set aside everything that we know about this team and go in with the right attitude, the right approach, and we can do something here.
Yeah, absolutely. And gentlemen, a couple of weeks ago, as we hark back on, or as I hark back on, this game was more or less a foregone conclusion. There's an element of their support rightly that think that it is a foregone conclusion. Rangers haven't done anything in an Old Firm game of note since Steven Gerrard got COVID. So this is about time, several years later, that we turned up. And football's funny because on Sunday, this Rangers team could literally go from 0 weeks ago to heroes. And that's the kind of thing that we need to cling on to a wee bit, that's for sure. You will get full coverage here on Four Lads. We will have full reaction to the game Sunday night next week as well. With that said, Andrew, thank you very much for joining us. Not hosting tonight and with a great insight, mate. Thank you very much.
No, I appreciate it, mate. And yeah, I highly recommend folk go back and check out the vlog from last night.
Good fun, yeah.
It was, I mean, it's good to see you guys both back in there. And yeah, I mean, we can barely hear you for most of it as well because the crowd's that loud. But that's only a good thing. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it, mate. And here's hoping we're talking about a great result come Monday.
Yeah, thank you, mate. It was funny because particularly trying to tell that the goal went in, we were shouting because I couldn't hear Shona. Shona couldn't hear me. And the crowd was just incredible, and you never know how it's coming across when you're trying. We were actually up the very back of the second stand in the main stand, so we weren't on the gantry down the front because UEFA take 70 seats for Europa League games and stuff like that. So it was good fun, actually. It was a good vlog, and what I was trying to do throughout it was just say, no matter how this ends, I'm so proud of this performance. So really, well done to the team on that. Go and check out the vlog; it's good fun. Kenny, matey, always a good insight from you. We look forward to Sunday, but thank you, mate, for your insight and join us tonight.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me on, Stevie. I just feel that Sunday is a real opportunity for us to get some momentum, Stevie. I've said it before on here and I'll say it again. These games are all about momentum, and we've not had any of that since we went to Celtic Park and that postponed game in that January night. And got hiding, to be honest. So that's what it is for me. All it takes is one result, Stevie, and that momentum can flip. Now, it might be too late for certain aspects of our season, but we can build, and the progress that we can see over the last few weeks, maybe Philip Clement wasn't that wrong when he says you'll see the best of us October, November. Maybe he just got it a month out, but enjoyed that tonight, guys. That was good. And let's hope for a win on Sunday.
Yeah, everybody, thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Thoroughly appreciate it. Nice to be back. Nice to be talking about a positive few weeks for Rangers. Thought the team was terrific last night. Huge congratulations to Philip Clement and the team. And yes, it does feel a wee bit hollow because this is Rangers. We don't celebrate draws, but what we do is give them credit where they deserve it. And that attitude, the ability, the desire and heart is something we've asked for, and they're showing us it now. It's taken perhaps too long for us to particularly like it. I know certainly I had become a wee bit disgruntled, that's for sure. But on Sunday, as I said, they've got a chance to make themselves heroes, and I certainly hope everybody watching has a really good Sunday. Join us for the reaction. It would be bloody lovely if we could have a great celebratory reaction and stuff like that on Sunday and afterwards as well. So hopefully you're all joining us. Enjoy your weekend, folk. Thanks for joining us. And please like, subscribe. Thank you to our sponsors, Rhino, Clydeview, Joinery, Apple Industrial Solutions, CSD Conditioning, Black Rooster, everybody that helps us make it what it is. We appreciate it. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you again next week. Bye for now.
Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, along with Art of Gold. Thank you for listening or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.